took him a long time to get started. By the time I get started, get going, it's too late. It's done over with. But anyhow, as I was saying, I think y'all ought to be awful proud to be Lincoln Trail School, because anything trademark that had Mr. Lincoln's name to it, or anything named Lincoln, was of good quality. And I know Lincoln Trail School is no exception. So always be proud that you went to Lincoln Trail School. Anything comes up, you can always say, I went to Lincoln Trail School. So we'll talk a little bit about the Lincoln Trail. I have enjoyed going the Lincoln Trail from up at Simpsonville, where Abraham Lincoln's grandfather was killed by the Indians. Now see, his name was Abraham Lincoln too. And then of course his son Thomas. Now Thomas saw his dad get killed by the Indians, split and logged. Now that's a long run out from Louisville near Simpsonville, Kentucky. And then you have Springfield, where Thomas and Nancy was married. Then you come on, they have the over at Perryville, the Civil War reaction every year, and in Harrisburg, and all through it down here in Hodgenville, and all up to Indiana and Illinois. Well, on 1809, February the 12th, on a whole Sunday morning, there was a little baby boy born to Nancy and Thomas Lincoln. Now, that day they had a little cousin that visited by, and he wanted to see his little newborn cousin. So he was in this little log cabin, while in the whole bed there was Miss Lincoln and little Abe. So Dennis went in, put the cover back, and there he was. And he said, he sure is an ugly little fella. I don't believe he'll ever amount to very much. She said, I'll give Abe a chance. Said, he'll grow up and he'll be out in the woods pretty soon playing with you. So it wasn't too long till he was. And of course, he never overcome the ugly part, but he did become the 16th president of the United States. Now, he lived in Hardin County, which is LaRue now, for 7 years. And he hunted some, fished some, and he got to go to school a little bit. Now, he had a sister named Sarah, and she was 2 years older than him, and of course, she helped him a little bit. But anyhow, Mr. Lincoln had a little problem because he didn't have no education, and he didn't know the documents that he would sign, and he would swindle out some property that he owned, the farm he owned in LaRue County. So they moved on to Indiana. They crossed the river down the Ohio, in a little town named Cloverport, and they settled over near Gentryville in Indiana. Now that day that they went over in the wagon, when Mr. Thomas had killed a squirrel that day, so they put it on the wagon, and then that night, while they built a little shelter, 2 walls, and a roof, and so Ms. Lincoln cooked supper, cooked that squirrel, and she told him, okay, get your place and we'll eat. So the place was a little piece of bark, and it's folded up like that, and that's what they used to eat on. So then they built a little cabin to live in that farm in Indiana. And Abe was a good worker, but he liked to read. Any kind of book he could get a hold of that he would read, but it was hard to get any kind of books then. So, but there was no schools open over there then that he could go to, and so all he had was the help from his sister, because his mother, she didn't have any education either. So when Abe was 9 years old, a misfortune thing happened. His mother died. So at that particular time, they didn't have the things to do things with that we do now. When someone died, they had to make the coffin, see. So Abe helped make his mother's coffin. Now they put it together with wooden pegs. The steel that they had, they used to make tubes with it. Well, Abe was really heartbroken, him and Sarah, she sent Abe to the spring to get some water, and he washed his hair, took a bath, and she told him to take his clothes off and throw them away. And so he didn't like that idea much, but he did. So she ordered some clothes that her son had that was older. So she dressed him up, and he looked pretty good. So from then on, he got along pretty good with his stepmother. He got to call her mother, see. So he wanted to go to read books. She couldn't get no books. She couldn't have no books. And she helped him just a little bit. She said, hey, some way, we'll get you some kind of an education. Now, a lawyer, I think it was, that would let him borrow books once in a while. But anything he could get, now he got the Bible, Shakespeare, and any good book he could find, but he was never known to read the novel all the way through. So he helped his daddy, but now Thomas, not having an education, he just didn't want Abe to spend a lot of time on books. So he said, because that boy got to work. So he said, that's all he do, is read books. And she had even fixed him a place over in a corner so that he could read. So one day, he went to over to Jensenville, and he borrowed a book from a lawyer. And he told him, he said, if you take care of it, I don't want you to have a book. So he lent him the book, and he took it home, and he read it that night there in the corner. And when he got sleepy, he laid it up on the log. It was raining that night, and he got that book soaking wet. He said, what will I do now? So he worried about it, but he was honest enough that he went back and took the book, and he told him, he said, I have run your book. He said, well, Abe, he said, I'll tell you, if you work for me the rest of the day, I will give you this book. So he worked for him the rest of the day, and he gave him the book, and he went back home, and he told his stepmother, he said, now I've got the history of the United States, I could read it and memorize the Declaration of Independence. So he worked real hard with his mother, and she helped him every way she could, but they still ain't got no school. But there was a guy coming in the neighborhood that was going, after the crop was over, he was going to start a school, and so that gave the opportunity for Lincoln and Sarah to go. Poor Gladys, Thomas would let him go. Well, he hadn't yet given in, but at that particular time, if you were working with your parents, the money you earned, you give them. See? So they was cutting corn for Mr. Carter, and they were supposed to get 25 cents a day. But Mr. Carter was a cheapskate, so he only paid them 20 cents a day. See? So they got a deal to buy the East Field from Mr. Lincoln. So, but they were working for Mr. Carter too, so that day he went over and Abe put his book in his pocket, and Thomas told Abe, said, now, you put that book away. So when old man Carter sees that book, he's going to be mad as he can be. Abe said, okay. He said, I'll just read it at lunchtime. So when lunchtime comes, why, Abe sat out by the stump. And so Mr. Carter come with his lawyer to sign the papers for the East Field. So he said, now we in a hurry. He said, Thomas, you just make an X mark. You know, that's the way you do it. If you could sign your name to make an X mark. He said, I can sign my name. I don't have to make an X mark. But he said, I want somebody to read this because I've been swimming on property before. So he said, well, we in a hurry. He said, Abe, come over here. Mr. Carter said, Abe can't read nothing. He said, he can read it. So Abe read it. He said, Daddy, he said, you just selling the East Field. Is that right? He said, yeah. He said, well, you better not sign this, because if you do, you're selling the biggest portion of our farm. So then that started to fight over the rail fence that was there, and they got some bloody notice. But anyhow, when they went home, why, the stepmother wanted to know what's happened. Y'all all roughed up. And Thomas said, Abe, you tell her. So he told her, and when he told him what happened, then Thomas there, Abraham Lincoln, he worked just like he always did. And he was 22 years old, and he took and he split rails. And says just here, a little farm, see. And he said, well, then I think it's time for me to go on my own. So then he went. One of the first things he done, he built a raft. And this raft was what he would do. He put it on the shore, and he put the luggage on there, and then he take it out to the big ship. See, he'd take the luggage and put it on the big ship, and then the people were supposed to pay him. But the first time he did it, after he built it raft, he did that. They didn't give him no money. He just said, "You didn't pay me." So remember, there's always collection money. So then when he said that, they reached in their pocket and they flipped the corn over on the left. Well, there, it all amounted to $1. It had more money than Lincoln had ever made. And then from that time on, why he was real ambitious. He went down the Mississippi to New Orleans, and on the rest, he was a postmaster. He worked in a store. He was a surveyor, and just any kind of work he could do. But he was not the first. He lived up in when he was clerking the store in the attic. He stayed up in the attic of the store, and that's where he slept. But then the people got to like him. They liked Abe because of his honesty, and he was a great storyteller. He'd tell a lot of funny things, and he could remember what he heard. He could go to church and come home, and some of them didn't go to church. He could remember what the preacher said and reacted for them. But then when he ran for legislator, the first time he was beat. That's the only time Abraham Lincoln was ever beat by a vote. Now, he run on the Whig Party, which was Republican. He always, that was the party he always run on. Well, then he went back and he studied. He came back and he ran for legislator 3 times and won. He also ran for congressman and won. And then he ran for the 16th president of the United States and won. Now, he ran against a little guy by the name of John Booth. They called him a little giant. And he was short, and he was a Democrat. And but Mr. Douglas died while Lincoln was president, and he told the people publicly that to support Mr. Lincoln because the things he stood for was right. Now, when Mr. Lincoln became president, he was confronted with the Civil War and the slavery, and but he worked real hard in it, and of course he was assassinated in the Ford Theater in Washington, D.C. with John W. Booth, and of course was captured out there. Now, I know that you have a lot of questions to ask about Mr. Lincoln. Now, some of them I might not be able to answer, but also you might be able to tell me something because you wrote at the grassroots of the Lincoln Trail where Mr. Lincoln started out from. So if you hold up your hand, and in order for everybody to hear you, while you come up here, well, maybe it'd be better because I'm a little bit hard of hearing too. So just hold up your hand, come up here, and ask your question, okay? Yes, say, you're a patriotic guy.
How long have you been dressing up like this?
I have been dressing up like this 7 years. I had a mustache and wore glasses and a beard, and my grandson said, Papa, cut off that mustache and pull off those glasses, and I think you make a good Lincoln, and you should enter the contest. So since I was born in the same county, in my boyhood days, the same county as Abraham Lincoln, I did. I was trying to win a contest. There was some friends, and we sat at a movie, and Booth came in through the corridor and went up behind him with a pistol, which was a .44 Derringer, and he shot him, and then he jumped off the stage and hurt his leg and got away, and then he went to a doctor and held up, and then he escaped there during the night, and then he went to they kept after him. They had a reward out for him, and then they finally kept him in Faceburg. He was in a barn, and so they tried to get him to come out. He wouldn't come out, so they shot him, and they got him out. The barn burnt. I don't know if I said part of it, but they got him. And then, of course, the other people, there were 7 others, I think, that was hung, that was in this conspiracy of killing. Right. Hi there.
Well, I just want to know if he came down on a rope and shot him, then he jumped off the rope and got a splinter on him, then bruised his leg real bad.
What did you what?
If he bruised his leg real bad.
Well, he hurt his leg real bad, but he was able enough to get on a horse. I got a picture of him. He went off real fast. He probably had some help outside that hit him. But anyhow, he got away. But they caught him. Yeah, but how about a little girl? Let's have a girl here. Oh yeah, come out. We got a lady governor now too. You know, you might get president sometime.
Because if you live, you get one of those go to another school because it's all
Oh yeah, okay, that was nice. She said, where did I get them fancy clothes? Louis' costume place before I started out, but then they wore out pretty fast, so I've had one to make some. Now my hat's where I have my big trouser, you know. You just can't find that tall hat. I sent Stephen Forster's show. They tried to get me one. I got them out of Nashville and Chicago, New York. And you know where I wound up getting it? I made it. So a lot of people would say, well, how come the tall stovepipe hat? Well, Mr. Lincoln had a whole lot put in that hat. I'll tell you, if you ever would notice that you would see Jimmy Carter or Ronald Reagan going from Camp David to the White House and get the helicopter, they always have a briefcase and bareheaded. Mr. Lincoln, he didn't have any briefcase. He carried all his messages right in his hat. One time he sat down by a stump and had all these papers, you know, and the wind blowed and it just scared them everywhere. And he had a hard time. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Did Abraham Lincoln make lots of things?
Make lots of things? Yeah. What he had to make. He was a good rail splitter, and he liked to do work. Now, the only thing that he ever did that was outstanding that I know, if you remember when he was going down there to Mississippi, they got the boat hung up, and they had to transfer the water from one end to the other, and at that particular time, he patented a device to unhang ships when they hung up. Now, that was went to the patent office. I've seen the picture of it, but as far as I know, it was never patented.
Another guy had a pistol. Why did they shoot him?
Well, it was just assassination attempt that they didn't like Mr. Lincoln, and they wanted to get rid of this thing if we happened that we had someone shoot John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, and someone shot Ronald Reagan. It's just a conspiracy. Oh, does anybody know why or when Abraham Lincoln first grew a beard? Right over here. No?
When did you start looking like Abe Lincoln?
How you?
When a girl got my leg, you looked at her with a beard.
That's right. He was on a train going up in Illinois to politician for his president. And this little girl said, Mr. Lincoln, I think if you would grow a beard, it would help your appearance. And I think I could get my uncle and my aunt to vote for you. So he went on back to Washington. He grew the beard, and when he came back, well, he said, I don't know he was coming. He made another speech, and he recognized her for that point. How are we running on time?
About another 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes? Okay. Oh, this, a lot of people just watch, they ask about them. See, they didn't have wristwatches in, and this is the type of watch they had. Of course, now this is not an old one, but this is something similar to the head. It's got a picture of a train on the back. They didn't handle automobiles. You know, that's something to think about. You just think about, if Abraham Lincoln was living today, he would be 176 and 3 days old. And you think, that ain't been too often to further back, but they didn't even have automobiles. They didn't have blacktop roads. And imagine this, in a classroom, you had a log cabin, one room, one teacher, and she taught all subjects. Now, if the others would have to study while she's having the other class, see, and didn't have no textbooks, and he really had to work hard to make it. I would like to share with just one little thing here that with you that he said. The 10 cannots attributed to Abe Lincoln. You cannot bring about prosperity by discouraging theft. You cannot help the small men but tearing down the big men. You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. You cannot lift the wage earner by pulling down the wage payer. You cannot help the poor, many, by destroying the rich. You cannot keep out of trouble by spending more than your income. We do that real often, don't we? You cannot further the brotherhood of man by inciting the class hatred. You cannot establish security by buying money. That's the one I've been hard trying to figure out. You might change that now, I don't know. You cannot establish security by borrowing money. That's something else. You cannot build character and courage by taking away the man's initiative of independence. You cannot help man permanently by doing for them for what they should do for themselves. And I think that's a good one. What was it? President Kennedy, he said, it ain't what you can do for the country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. So I guess we're about out of time, and I sure do thank you all for inviting me here to this school, this Lincoln Trail School, and I think you all should be proud that you have a school of that name. And you sure are a nice bunch of boys and girls. And maybe you won't be president, but you listen to these to your teacher real good, work real hard, and you'll be of importance, because it used to be a little while, so y'all will be running the whole show. Okay, thank you very much.